Good afternoon, everyone. This is the 4410online.com community podcast. 4410 Online is your community website serving the Maryland 44th and 10th districts of Baltimore County. I'm Brian Glass, and today's podcast is about animal abuse. We have a guest on the phone. Her name is Evelyn Jackson. How are you? Can you hear us? Okay, let me turn you. So, we're going to give a little background on this and why we doing this podcast on animal abuse. So, just about everyone loves pets: dogs, cats, birds, reptiles, or whatever. Do you have any pets?
I dog sit very well.
Okay, so we have a dog sitter here. Now, they're often seen as part of the family. How do you view your pet?
My pet is very much part of the family. It's like a child.
Okay.
They drink, except the only thing with the dogs is you have to take them out.
Okay. Okay. Here we go. That's better. Had to turn off the background radio. So, did you know? It's one of these did you know things? Did you know that according to Statista.com, in 2020, 70% of all U.S. households owned one or more pet. 70%.
High percentage.
Yeah, it's very high. Now, according to the CDC, there are many health benefits of owning a pet. They say that it can increase opportunities to exercise, which, if you have a cat or inside, there's a lot of exercise chasing the cat around, or dog, and you dog sit. You get outside, you socialize. Say regular walking or playing with pets can decrease blood pressure, decrease cholesterol levels, and triglyceride levels. So very healthy when you go out there and walk with your pet. Say pets can also help manage loneliness and depression by giving us companionship. So that's from the CDC. Of course.
With that being said, would you say that during the pandemic, more people adopted pets? Is that why the increase in numbers?
You know what? I believe so. And as a matter of fact, if anybody who were looking for pets during that time, they were hard to come by, even cats. And I'm a cat lover. I love dogs, I love every animal, but they were very hard to come by. Very hard. Well, check this out now. It's a good thing that a lot of people own pets, but I'm going to give you 20 disturbing animal abuse statistics, because this what this podcast is about animal abuse. So, number one, globally, an animal is abused every minute. 2, passive cruelty towards animals is far more common than active cruelty. Now, I guess that's more of a neglect. People who are most likely to abuse animals are men over 30. Can you believe that?
I didn't know that.
Who would have known? Let's see, 75% of abused women who own a companion animal reported their animal was threatened with harm or intentionally harmed by their partner. That's a big time evil right there. 250,000 animals are victims of unhealthy hoarding environments. Now, we've seen that typically with cats and dogs sometimes, but a lot of times with cats. Roughly 40,000 people are involved in organized dog fights. And one of the more high-profile dog fight incidents was involved with who?
Michael Vick?
Mm-hmm. Michael Vick brought that to the forefront. And there are more than 10,000 puppy mills in the United States. You know what a puppy mill is?
Yeah, the puppies are, they board them.
Yes. 6.5 million cats and dogs enter shelters annually. That's a lot.
Yeah.
27% of cats are euthanized in shelters. Oh, wow. I didn't know this one. Pit bull breeds are the most abused and neglected dogs in the world. I wonder why that could be.
I believe they're misunderstood.
Yeah, that. And maybe because they use them in dog fighting.
Yeah, and they become violent.
Yeah.
I don't think they start out violent. There are people who have pit bulls that are just as good around and babies, but there are cases where those pit bulls attack and eat babies. So
yeah, that's true. Do you think it's because of fear?
I think it's fear mostly.
Now, something that we didn't talk about in circuses, dancing bears are in cages for 90% of their lives. 90% of their life, they're in cages. That's ridiculous.
That would make anyone mad. That should be like solitary confinement for a human being.
Exactly. And, I think that's the reason why a lot of people are against circuses. We think we look at it as an entertainment, and we like to see the animals and doing tricks and stuff like that. But I would assume that this would be a big time center of abuse.
Mm-hmm.
They say since 1994, more than 60 elephants have died prematurely due to a lack of adequate medical care. And I'm going to say, I'm doing just a guess. I'm going to say that's probably the ones in the circus, not the zoos. It says dozens of racehorses die each year, with physical stress being the main cause. So they're running the horses to death. I'm not a big horse race guy, but it's very popular. Although dog racing is illegal in 40 states, and I didn't know that either, many greyhounds are still being abused. Who would have known? 90.
Greyhound, they already appear to be underweight. So sometimes, as for myself, I'm a dog lover, I see greyhounds on the trail. I walk on the trail, and I always think, oh my gosh, somebody's not feeding this animal. But they are very muscular and small in size, so they probably will be missed if they're being abused. Someone would mistakenly say, "Oh, that's how they're supposed to look."
Right. And I can't say that I ever recall seeing a greyhound outside of TV.
Really?
Yeah.
You gotta walk on the trail more.
Now, here's an interesting one. 97% of all abused animals are farm animals. And I'm going to assume, I'm going to make a lot of assumptions here, that the farm animals are used for meat, food, or whatever, and maybe they hold them in cages for long periods of time. I've seen a program one time, this is back when I was younger, about veal, where they had the cows, the calves, in these really tight pens that they were not allowed to exercise or move around just to keep the meat soft. So I imagine that's part of that. And he says 95% of pigs on farms cannot move naturally. See that? Don't eat pork. See, dairy cows live only 25 to 33% of their natural lifespan. Wow. Maybe we're drinking. See, I think a lot of these things in regards to farm animals probably could be reduced if the population stopped eating as much, meat and milk. Yeah. Wow. Let's see. Of the 6 inhabited continents, Asia has the highest rate of animal abuse. I could believe that because I've seen a lot of things. Yeah, you see a lot of them on TV.
They eat dogs.
Yeah, some places do. And, they'll put that on YouTube or whatever. You can see how they put them in cages and drown them, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Now, I like these things, these little, we call them, they look like ferrets, but they're minks. It says more than 15 million minks were killed in Denmark for their fur because some tested positive for COVID-19. They say those the minks, the ferrets, the what are the wild ones called? Ferrets, polecats, all that. A lot of them were euthanized, and I think that was a horrible thing. But they can catch COVID-19 just as easily as a human can. Now, for those who want the exotic pets, it said thousands of exotic animals die in transit, just in transit each year. And I would assume, another assumption, that exotic animals include the reptiles, these birds. That includes parrots, what do you call them? Cockatoos.
Yeah.
Many things. So we're going to talk about the animal abuse prevention from the Baltimore County Police, and hopefully at the end that people who are listening can get some idea about what is considered animal abuse, how to prevent it, and how to report it. So just take a guess. Who is typically neglected or abused the most? What type of animal?
I would have to say dogs.
That is correct.
They're sometimes left outside in horrible weather conditions. Sometimes people forget to feed their dogs or just mishandle them.
That is correct. So it said the top three are dogs, cats, and horses.
Horses.
Yes, horses. Yep.
I wouldn't say horses because most people don't own horses, but
right.
If you live in Maryland, you might have a horse.
Yeah, and I think we've heard of cases where the horses were not being kept in a sanitary, accommodations, and they were, underfed or not even given medical care. So we're going to talk about what actually is animal abuse or animal cruelty. Animal abuse is human infliction of suffering or harm upon non-human animals for the purpose other than self-defense or survival. So basically, when we talk about animal abuse or cruelty, we're talking about human infliction, not animal on animal, unless that's caused by a human. And it could be either deliberate abuse or simply the failure to take care of an animal. So I'm going to say the neglect. Here's some examples, and you mentioned a few of them. Not providing proper food or water, not providing proper space and air. So if you have them, pinned up somewhere and, you have animal feces all over the place, no ventilation, I guess that would count as well. No proper veterinarian care, no proper shelter. And you mentioned that, I think this is one of the ones we get a lot is leaving the dogs outside in inclement weather, really, really cold weather. Dog fighting, puppy mills, hoarding of animals, and flipping animals.
Now what is flipping animals?
I knew you was going to ask that because I asked that. Somebody said that cow tipping. I don't have an idea what flipping animals are, and I will find out because later on we're going to reach out to the Baltimore County Animal Abuse Unit for, give their expert opinion on all these things. So how would you...
Flipping an animal might be kind of like using a barking tool, like take my dog and take, something else you have. I'm not sure.
You said a bungee tool?
Yeah, or like a bargaining tool.
Oh, a bargaining tool. Okay.
I'll give you a dog if you agree to do this service on me or something like that. Maybe.
Okay. So flipping as in like sales.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or for a profit or for a exchange.
Okay. That's something to find out. So we're going to talk about some physical signs of abuse or neglect. These are common sense things. The collar's so tight that it will cause a neck wound, and that's something that you can see very easily. I guess unless you have a really big animal with a lot of hair. Open wounds, signs of multiple heel wounds, or ongoing illness that isn't being treated. So the multiple heel wounds, that's when you can see the wounds that was healed, and you can say it happened over time. That just shows you that they've been injured and they may not have gotten the proper treatment. Extreme thinness, fur infested with fleas, ticks, or parasites, weakness, limping, or inability to stand or walk, owner striking or physically striking the animal, or heavy discharge from the eyes or nose. Those are things that you can see. It's kind of obvious if you see a dog limping walking down the street, or maybe in somebody's yard. That's a pretty obvious thing to see. Some environmental signs of abuse, and this is when the people call in most of the time. When pets are tied up outside for long periods of time without adequate food, water, or shelter, pets being kept out in inclement weather without access to adequate shelter, and that includes a dog house or something along those lines. Pets kept in areas littered with feces, garbage, broken glass, or other harmful objects. And that's also a big time county code violation. So you can get fined for that. Animals housed in kennels or cages that are too small to stand, turn around, have normal movement, or crowded with other animals. I personally haven't seen that, but that's pretty abusive, I would think. Let's see. What do you think are some ways to prevent this animal abuse?
Harder.
What is that?
Yeah, I think you have to let people, or make people more aware of what is considered abuse.
Okay.
Someone may think my German Shepherd, as an example, my German Shepherd is tough. He can storm the weathers and leave him outside. They need awareness, just like everything else. I think animal abuse in our world today is kind of overlooked because we have so much other stuff going on. But it's still something, however, it still should be something that should be brought to light and people should be made aware of.
Okay. I can agree with that. So just like you said, awareness, making people aware of these things, and this program is part of that. Knowing who to call to report animal cruelty or neglect. Yeah. Getting to know and look out for animals in the neighborhood. Everybody knows that neighborhood cat. Yeah. Everybody has a neighborhood cat, right? And just make the call. That's, it's hard enough. I know a lot of people don't want to tell on their neighbors or don't want the police coming to their door, but you have to make the call. And when you do make the call, provide as much information as possible when reporting that animal abuse. Contact your local law enforcement. Talk to kids about how to treat animals with, kindness and respect. I think that's a big one. You have kids, correct?
Yeah.
Have they always had a pet?
For the most part.
Okay.
She always had a cat. We had a dog. And my dog died. We got a cat. And now I'm in a dog sitter, but we always had dogs. Yes, always been around pets.
So that's something that your child picked up naturally. You didn't have to say, "Hey, don't treat the animal this way."
Naturally, because even with the cat, like when she was young,
mm-hmm.
like was young, and the cat was young, had to teach her and talk to her about how to handle her because she wanted to pick her up all the time, and cats don't typically like get picked up.
Okay.
So we attack her. So we had to work around that, and she's still our pet, but she's not a baby. You can always. And the cat gradually comes around, she gradually came around and started learning Jada's behavior, my daughter's behavior, as well as my daughter started learning her behavior.
Okay.
So I always tell her it's a matter of respect. Because they want you have a cat, they like their alone time.
Yes, they do.
Coddle, they don't like all that.
Okay.
Some cats do like all that, but for the most part, they like to be on their own.
Mm-hmm. So have you seen any kids picking on cats or torturing cats or dogs or anything?
I do. I have.
Yeah.
I have seen children throw firecrackers at cats, throw things, and try to hurt them. Yeah, we would have seen a burnt cat that was burnt to death by some kids.
And they say that people who tortured animals when they were young often grow up to be criminals that commit heinous crimes.
I believe that.
So I guess that's another way of, or another indication of why it's important to have talks with kids and to watch out for your pets. So here are some other tips for reporting abuse or cruelty. Find out where to report the abuse. Obviously, we talked about law enforcement. Provide a concise written factual statement of what you observed, like dates, times, names, etc. Take photographs. That is huge. If you have photographs, that's evidence. Keep a careful record of whom you contacted, because you always want to keep a paper trail, especially if you are one of those who love animals, and you see things being done with animals. You want to know who you contacted so you can hold people accountable. Make it clear to the agent that you are interested in pursuing the case. And I don't think that'll be a problem, especially in Baltimore County. I do believe they take these things really, really serious. How else could you report abuse?
As often as needed.
Huh?
I believe as often as needed. If it's a reoccurring issue, then you should report it.
Yep, I agree. So, for those out there who are hesitant to call 911, don't be. 911 is there for a reason. So you can report it through 911. You can also visit www.baltimorecountymd.gov, and you can submit an animal complaint. Okay, they have a.
Submit an animal complaint. Is it like a regular complaint where you get a number?
Yes.
And you can follow up with that ID number.
Yes.
Who handled the case and kind of follow it.
Yes, and also it's the outcome. Okay, so and again, we're going to reach out to the Baltimore County Animal Abuse Unit with the state's attorney Adam Lipp, I think it's Lipp or Lippy, and his partner April Doherty to bring some expertise to this matter. So we don't know everything, and it would be good to have the perspective of the state's attorney's office who prosecutes these cases. So all cases, if they get charged, go to the state's attorney and they prosecute these cases. Obviously, they take it seriously because they have a Baltimore County Animal Abuse Unit. So we'll try to reach out to them and see if they'll come on and talk on the podcast. Maybe we'll have a part 2 to this. So
it's much needed information.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But I want to thank you for coming on the show. I know it was last minute. I like to surprise some people.
See, you're most welcome.
See if you was going to get nervous.
Yes, I did. I was nervous, but I hope I offered some insight.
You did, and it's always good to for people to see or hear from people who actually own pets or observe other people's handling their pets in the neighborhood. So that was good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that is our time. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to check out our featured blog articles, events, and our many resources, chat groups, and other podcasts at www.4410online.com. And as always, please share with family, friends, neighbors, and associates. And if you'd like to comment on the podcast, you can check us out in those chat groups at www.4410online.com. We also have a Facebook group with the same name, 4410 Online. You're going to hear that name often, so we can, plant it in your brain. Or you can send us an email at 4410online@gmail.com. And once again, thank you all for coming out.
4410